everyone, welcome back to Flavor Kingdom Kitchen. If you guys are new to my channel, please go ahead and hit that subscription button. If you're not new, welcome back. Today, as stated in my title, I'm going to be making the Jamaican fruit cake because it's Christmas time. You know, you have to have your cake. So without further ado, let's jump into this video, right? So I'm gonna start off by cooking my fruits for at least 10 minutes. In the pot, I have some red label wine and some white rum and some vanilla, and I'm just cooking this until the alcohol has dissolved, somewhat like this. Now I'm gonna be chopping my fruits right after. I like to say I chop my fruits, I don't puree them, because I like the fruits, I think, help with the texture. So I don't like the pudding textured cake, I'm making the crumb textured cake, so I want my fruits to have somewhat of a texture. I don't want them to be super smooth. So we're gonna pulse this for a couple times and then we're gonna set this aside. Like so. While that's sitting, we're gonna go ahead and sift our flour. Now you could sift all your dry ingredients, but I normally just sift my flour and then just put all my other spices in. And we're gonna be adding in some nutmeg into this flour, and I'm using the whole nutmeg, so fresh nutmeg. So you could, I'm just gonna grate to like a teaspoon of nutmeg into this flour. If you have the powdered one, you could use that as well, that's fine. Next thing I'm gonna add is my cinnamon. And then I'm gonna add a bit of salt to that and set this aside again. Next step, we're gonna move on to our butter and sugar. We're gonna be creaming our butter and sugar together. I left my butter out to be softened because it speeds up the process of creaming when the butter is soft versus when it's really tough. So we're gonna add in our sugar now. I'm using brown sugar and white sugar. So half cup of white and a whole cup of brown sugar. And I think this is 1 pound of butter. But I'm gonna link the recipe in the description box, so don't worry guys, be sure to check out the description box for the full recipe, and then you have to watch the full video before you attempt to make this cake. All right guys, so we're gonna cream this butter and sugar together until the sugar granules are somewhat dissolved, right? And the texture of this should be fluffy. Make sure you scrape your sides down so that this is evenly creamed, right? Go ahead and give that a little bit more cream in. Now that is done, we're gonna go ahead and add in our eggs. I'm gonna be using 6 eggs, so we're gonna be adding them in stages. We're not gonna add them all at the same time. Here I'm adding 2 at a time. It's my last egg, guys. And this texture should be fluffy, light and fluffy. That's how you want your cake to be. Now that that's done guys, we're gonna go ahead and add our fruits to this. Now see how my fruit still has texture to it? This is how I like it to be, guys. So we're gonna fold that into our butter and eggs and butter, eggs, and our sugar mixture. Now we're gonna go ahead and add in our flour and spices, but I'm gonna go ahead and add my baking powder in before adding it into the thing, because I forgot to put my baking powder in earlier. And you don't want to forget your baking powder, guys. So I want to mix that in a little. And then I'm just adding the whole thing in here. You could do it little by little, but trust me, I just want to get this done. It's so late, guys. So as you guys can see, I mixed it halfway, and now I'm going to be adding in my red label wine. If you guys don't have the red label wine, you could just substitute for a regular red wine, port wine. That's totally fine. So I'm going in with 1 cup of the white rum, Jamaican white overproof Ray and Nephew rum, and 1 cup of the red label wine. And I'm gonna mix that in. There's a theory that if you mix your cake batter and it doesn't lay flat, that means it needs more liquid. So that's why I add in my liquid last, because I don't want to put too much liquid into it. So I judge it by watching the top of the cake. If a cake doesn't lay flat, that means you need more liquid. So with that being said, I'm gonna add a cup of the regular red wine. I'm using a regular port wine. It doesn't have to be an expensive wine, guys. It's totally fine. Just find something nice and sweet. So I'm gonna add that in there and give this a mix. We'll fold. When you use the folding technique, you incorporate air into your cake batter, and that's gonna give you the crumb texture. A lot of people uses breadcrumbs, but you don't have to use the breadcrumbs. Not saying that it's a bad thing, but you don't have to use breadcrumbs. Just change your technique a little. And I'm gonna add in my last cup of red wine. And guys, I just want to let you guys know, it smells so good right now in here. Like, this whole batter just smells so good. So we're gonna mix that fully combined until fully combined. And the next thing we're gonna do now is we're gonna go ahead and add in our browning. And for this recipe, I'm using 3 tablespoons of browning. I like my cake dark, but not too dark. I don't want the black look, you know. So I'm gonna be using 3 tablespoons of browning, and you know, that should be fine. I just added in some almond extract. Now I like to grease my cake pan, and then I lined it with the parchment paper. And I do line the bottom and also the sides. And while I'm doing this, I preheated my oven to 350 degrees, and I also put a pan of water in the bottom to give the steam for this cake. So now that our cake tin is ready, we're gonna go ahead and pour in. You're pouring in your cake, you have to remember the cake will rise, so you don't want to fill this thing up too much. I do like 2/3 of the way up, and you know, that's fine. This is a really huge cake tin. Normally I use this batter to make this recipe to make 3 8-inch cakes, but I wanted to have this size one, so I'm using my 10-inch cake tin and a small one for the leftovers. But this one yields 3 8-inch cake. So you want to level that a little, and then we're gonna put it in the oven for 1 hour. So this, guys, is a concoction I made. I made it with some of the chopped fruits, and I cooked it down in the red wine and the rum, and then I strained the fruit out, and this is what's left of that. So this I'm going to be using to baste the top of my cake. When it comes out the oven, right as it comes out the oven, we're gonna go ahead and baste the top of the cake with this. I love doing this because this acts as a barrier to trap the nice moisture inside of the cake. So with that being said, the cake is finished, and as you guys can see, it's nice, it's done. You want to poke the center of the cake, and if it comes out clean, you know that's done. So you see how it's just dry, looking dry on top. I like to give it a little sheen with my thing I made earlier. So we're gonna brush the top of the cake with it. Try to get everywhere over the cake, and it adds more flavor to you guys. It has a nice tangy flavor to it. So I normally just brush the top of the cake with it. So, and over time it moistens the top of the cake too. So when you let your cake sit, you're gonna see the difference. When you let your cake sit, when you put the rum over it and everything, oh my god, this is gonna add a much better texture to your cake. So I did it to the second one, the other cake as well. This is the small one with the leftovers that I was telling you guys about. So look at the sheen on the top of the cake, guys. It looks so nice, and the cake is so moist. So I wrap my cake right after for 2 minutes with the plastic wrap, just to trap the moisture inside of the cake. And then I removed the plastic, and that's when you will go ahead and pour your wine over the cake. I add just some wine and some rum, like a half a cup of each, and we're gonna go ahead and pour that over the cake. Then we let this sit for at least 2 days, guys, and oh my god, it's gonna be so good, and you'll see the difference in the texture of the cake when you do it like this. It's gonna be so nice and moist and soft and fluffy, and the crumb texture that I like. I know some people like the pudding texture, but the crumbs texture is so much better. So guys, this is the finished final product. If you guys like this video, please remember to hit that thumbs up button. Comments on this video, let me know what you guys think. Share this video, and have a very, very Merry Christmas and a prosperous New Year when it comes. And I will see you guys in my next video. Thank you guys, and see you guys later. Bye.